Oh man, I've opened up a can of worms here. Stick around, folks. I'll show you what I do with this mess. Okay folks, so I'm tearing into this kitchen sink window here now, and I'm going to resize this opening, and I also have to fix up this I got a rotten sill plate here. The sill plates in these mobile homes are usually just 1x4. Okay, so you can see there it's just a 1x4. You know, a regular house would have 2x4. This is the way they do most of these old mobile homes. I don't know why, but that's the way it's done. So from this point here, whoops, from this point here back, the sill plate's all good. So, you know, I pulled the insulation out of here. This is all good. We don't have any mold or anything in there. So I'm just from there back. I'm not going to do any repairs. Nothing is necessary. I'm going to have to clean this up here. This is where the old range is, and this is the old range hood vent, and that was power to the fan. So we're going to be changing this. The range location is going to stay pretty much the same, but instead of going out the wall like that, I'll be going up through the roof with the vent for the range hood, and we'll be doing a over-the-range microwave fan combo unit, so that will be quite different. I also have to, when I get into electrical, that electrical is running off of this switch down here, and those OTRs, over-the-range microwaves, have to have their own circuits, so because of the microwave, so that we'll be running a new circuit in for that, but that's coming up later. What we're focusing on here is today is this. So this is the old kitchen window opening, and you can see how, you know, this was done. I told you kind of in the last video how, you know, how this was you know, how they'd modified this to install the window, but you know, the sill plate was gone. You can see none of this is nailed in. None of this is nailed in. You can see it's all just, you know, ready to come out. So you know, we've got some rot down here, so I'm going to be replacing all of this lower section here. At the top we sort of have the same thing. You know, they removed the header. I mentioned that in the last video. So I'm going to be building a new header. Now this is going to be the side of the window. It's the new opening. So we're taking the window from here over to here. So I will be framing in a new section for this. And also I talked to you in the last video about you know, how I'm going to get the heights of the windows all the same height. So this one that is done, this is the first window that I did. This was the easy one. So I established that the height of my windows, because we have windows all different heights in this home, want to get them all the same. So the height of my rough opening is going to be right here. I've determined it, so it's 78 inches from the floor, and then I measured down from, you know, down from there for my rough opening. Now your rough openings are always sized a little bit bigger than your windows. Usually it's 3/4 of an inch bigger than the window. So if you have a 48-inch window, which is the window itself, you would frame your opening at 48 3/4. Same thing for the height. If you have a window that's 48 inches, you know, the actual window itself is 48 inches, you frame it at 48 3/8. And then when we install, you can see we install these little shims here. And what that does is it gives us a place to, you know, sort of, if there's any discrepancies in that sill plate, we can take care of it with the shims. It also gives us a place to insulate. So we want to insulate, you know, in between this opening. So the openings are 3/4 of an inch bigger. By the time we divide it by 2, you end up with 3/8 of an inch opening around your window, between the window and the frame. So this old window, the height of the old window was up here, okay, and so now I'm going to actually lower this window to this mark here. This is my 78-inch mark, which is going to line it up with the one across the room over there. All right, so as we go along here, you can also see, you know, we've got some damage to that sill plate there again as well. You know, not much for mold in here actually, so it's actually pretty good. So there's a little bit there. but we're going to be taking care of all that. I think I'm probably going to end up taking off, you know, some more drywall here, and I'll show you why, because of the other side. So I'll take you outside and I'll show you how this looks. All right, so on the outside, this is what we have here. This is what this window looks like from the outside. Okay, so you see some staining up there. That is still sound up there, so we're going to be just working with that up there. You know, down here, you can see we've got, you know, we have a problem here with the rim joist. All right, and here you can see this is the sill plate. So this is that 1x4 in the wall that's on the bottom, and then we have the flooring itself right here, and then we have a 2x8 rim joist. Okay, the belly liner comes underneath, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix this. That's coming up. So someone previously, there was a pipe that broke underneath in the kitchen sink. That's right under the kitchen sink there, and so this is how they left it. And so we're going to be restoring all that, but because it wraps up around the rim joist, we need to fix the rim joist first. So this damage comes back here, and you can see here I've already repaired it, you know, this way back. You can see the new 2x8 in there now. I'm probably going to be opening this up a little bit. This was just a temporary sort of a thing. When I took off the aluminum siding, I found this underneath there. And so I'm gonna have to remove this panel and replace this panel. Now the stud behind it is pretty good shape. I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about the stud, which is this one here. Okay, it's just got a bit of mold on it. We're just gonna clean that up, and I'll show you how I clean that up. But what I've done, you know, this is all punky underneath here. So I'm gonna cut this, sort of carry on this line here, and you know, just cut this out, and then do these repairs from out here, and we'll just leave this part of the sheeting in. And I'm going to take it back to this joint right here. All right, so I think we're good. Once we get to this point, I think we're solid again. I'm going to open that up a little bit and check. You can see here it's not good. Now, one of the things that we have going on here is you see this hole, and this is one of our things that caused some of this damage. Was the tap. The outside tap was here, and you know, underneath this this aluminum siding, you know, there's no tar paper or anything. This is it. This is all you have between you and the weather. And so, you know, this is a maintenance thing. Around that tap, it wasn't you know, properly sealed with well, we usually use a, you know, silicone or a plumber's putty. Excuse me. And what's happened, you see all this damage here is all from water leaking from that hose bib and getting in behind the metal, and it causes this damage here. So at first I thought that all of this damage here was caused by that window leaking. Excuse me. Excuse me. And it's not. Actually, all of this damage here is caused by this here. And if you look up there, I'll get my ladder here and just show you this. It's kind of interesting. So you can see this trail of rotten OSB. Now this is just OSB that's rotten. You know, this looks bad, but it's not that bad. We're just going to fix the OSB and it's going to be fine. But up here, you can see how this, you know, this staining is here. And what happened is, if you look at this, there's a flashing. Now I've got it bent up here, but this flashing is meant to keep the water away. And you can see this gap in here. Okay, so this gap was allowing water to run down, and it was running down, got in behind this metal here. You can see there where, you know, somebody had tried to repair it with that black roofing cement, and that black roofing cement is not stuff to use for this. But it got in behind this, and it was leaking, you know, in behind this. Okay, and that's what did all this damage to this water, just because this one little crack. Okay, if this little crack had been sealed, the water would not run down through there. So, you know, this is sort of goes to maintenance. You know, if you've got this kind of a deal on your home, you have to kind of look at these things. You know, this wasn't installed right from the beginning. This is from the factory. So these should have overlapped. You know, one should have overlapped the other, and that would have you know, covered that gap. In this situation, the next best thing is to, you know, keep up with it with caulking. But the thing is with caulking is that caulking will dry out. It eventually fails. It's a constant maintenance thing. So the less you can rely on, you have to rely on caulking, the better off you are. All right, so I'm going to, kind of been a bit of a debate how I'm going to go about this, but I think what I'm going to do is I want to get my window in, so I've got my place secure again. So I think I'm going to start with, you know, cutting out this and then getting that window framed out and repaired, get the window installed, and then I'll take care of this mess down here. All right, stay tuned, folks. Okay, so I've got the old rotten 1x4 sill plate out of there. You can see how I've opened this up. So like I said, you know, from here back it's in good condition. You can see we've got a wire coming down through here, so I didn't want to go any further. You know, this is all sound. We've got a metal plate and everything in there, but you know, underneath here where that hose bib thing was there, you know, this was all rotten. So you can see I've cut that whole 1x4 out there all the way along, and you know, these studs now are just, you know, they're just kind of waving in the wind there. So I've cut the new 1x4, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and insert it from the outside in, because I went past that stud there. Okay, last segment I said I thought I was going to take the drywall off of there, but up to the patio door, but I'm not going to. You know, that is, looking at it from the other side, that's all in good condition there. You know, a lot of people will say, well, why don't you just take the drywall off and start over again? Well, you know, it's a matter of time and cost and everything else. I mean, if you want to get that deep into the project, you know, you certainly can. You know, the goal of these videos is sort of show do-it-yourselfers how to fix some of these problems. And so, you know, this is a fairly major issue that you will run into with these older homes. You know, I've had to do this around the whole perimeter of a whole home. So, you know, this little section here is not bad at all. So what I've done is I, you know, cleaned it all up. Now, there was a little bit of mold in there. There wasn't much. When you're cleaning up mold, if you use a 15% bleach solution, so use take a gallon of water and put, you know, 15% of bleach into it, that will kill any of your mold and mildew and stop it from, you know, continuing to grow. What I have done here is I've used some of the wood preservative, since it's accessible to me here, and it's just, you know, it's what I have here. That's what I'm going to use. But the bleach solution works well, you know, if you're inside somewhere where you don't want to have the odor of this wood preservative. It's quite strong smelling. You know, there's a pretty potent chemicals in there that deal with the mold. But so now I will just slide that 1x4 in from the outside underneath the studs, and then I will fasten the studs to that new 1x4. Okay, so this is all just kind of hanging here. Okay, you can see I haven't got any extra supports in here. You know, this isn't going to fall down. Nothing's moving here. It's, you know, this is all very light. The sheeting on the outside, the OSB sheeting, is what's holding everything together here right now, and you know, it's not going to go anyplace. You know, with a little bit of time it's going to take to finish this up, fix this up, we're fine. We don't have to put any extra supports in. All right, stay tuned. All right, so I've got the new 1x4 installed here, and you know, all I did was just I used screws. I used 3-inch construction screws, and I just, you know, toe-nailed the studs into this bottom plate here, and the bottom plate has been screwed into the floor joists that come across here. And so now you can see our wall is, you know, it's all solid again, and I'm ready to just go ahead now and frame up my new opening for my new window. All right, so that'll be the next thing here. All right, folks, so I've got this window all framed in here now, ready to put it, I'm ready to put the window in now. And yeah, this is what it looks like. So you can see we've got everything back together there around the bottom. Now the rest of that work I'm going to do from the outside where it's open there, and I'll take you around, I'll show you that later. But yeah, so this is the framing around the window. Everything is good and solid in there now. Now I'll show you a couple little things here. Now for you folks that know what you're looking at, you're gonna say, that's not quite right there, Kent. So right, this is not technically correct on the top here. So you can see how this little header that I built here is just nailed into it's just screwed in from this stud on the back here there. Sorry, it's just screwed in. Okay, so if this was technically right, we would have what's called a jack stud or a cripple stud. There's different names for it. Sitting underneath this end of the header to support the header. Okay, we'd have that on both sides. So here we haven't done that. We've just eliminated it. So you can kind of see the detail. Now what we have there is 3 2x4s. So we have one down, one over, and then one up behind. And we've screwed that into the studs. If through the end there with six 3-inch construction screws. Okay, so that is going to hold, that is going to support this roof above here. We just have a very short span here. It's only 7 feet from there to there, and we have two rafters sitting there, and the 2 rafters actually sit close to the edge. So we got one rafter sitting right here, so close to this side, and the other one is sitting right over here. So we're not loading this thing in the middle. Now there's a couple reasons I've done that. I've laid out my cabinets here. So this is, part of looking ahead. I had to lay out my cabinets because I wanted to have my window in the center of my sink cabinet. So I wanted to make sure that my sink cabinet was going to fit in here underneath this window and be centered. And then I've got some other cabinets I got arranged there. So, I wanted to make sure that it was all going to fit. This window being bigger, wider than it was originally, they made it bigger this way. They opened up this opening this way to make the window bigger. I'm kind of working with what they had here. So this works for my cabinets, okay? And, to get that 2x4 to have it done, technically correct, a 2x4 under here and one over the other end, I would have had to move this all 3 inches this way. So what that would have done is it gets me into this electrical here. So this is a sink light, and then we have an outlet. So if I would have moved 3 inches over this way, I'd be right beside this switch. Okay, then I would have got into a whole bunch of electrical, having to relocate that. I would have had to move everything over this way. And I am a little bit tight here for where my range is going to come in, so I don't have a lot of room to play with here. So rather than messing with that, I just went with this. All right, so here's some news for you folks. That is how it's often done in these mobile homes. Quite often they just make the windows fit between the studs. So originally this window was probably a 30-inch window that would have fit between the stud that came down here and that stud, and that's how they do it. They just put a little header in there just like that. So it's not technically right. It's done the way it's often done in these mobile homes, which doesn't necessarily make it right, but for the small loads that we have in here, this is going to be fine. There's no way that's going to come down. Keep in mind that the way it was here before with nothing up there, it sat here for probably 30 years like that, and without consequence. Okay, so now at least we've got some support. It's screwed in from the end there. We've got some proper framing, we've got a proper sill plate here now, and everything is just back to being sound. So you can see something tricky that I had to do with the wiring here. So I have a wire coming from up through the wall here, and you can see it coming up over here. All right, so that is a main run, and that is coming up, and originally it would have come up through this here space, because this would have been a wall, right? And then up through there, it goes up into the attic. So again, to avoid, you know, messing around with an electrician, we had enough wire to work with here that all I did was I just notched the stud. Okay, you can see how I just notched the stud there and ran the wire through out this side. Okay, and I did the same thing up at the top there where I have two wires. All right, so that way I didn't have to disconnect any electrical, I didn't have to get an electrician, I didn't have to mess around with anything. You know, it's just all kind of tidied up. Now before I put the drywall insulation in, I'll get some staples and I'll staple, you know, this wire to here, you know, and staple this one to the stud here, and, you know, make it all right. But that's how this turned out. You can see these little blocks that I put on the sill here. So these are 3/8 inch plywood. I told you before that we make our openings 3/4 of an inch bigger than the window, so we have 3/8 on a space around the whole window in the opening. So I put one on each side here, and then I put one in the middle to support the center of the window, and the window will sit on that. This sill now is perfectly level. I installed it perfectly level, and so I'll just set the window right on that, centered in the opening this way, and it'll be good. I'm going to get into I'll show you you know, how I do a window start to finish along the way here. So you know, just keep watching the videos and you'll see one like exactly from start to finish. And this is I'm just going to show you how it looks from the outside here. Okay, so this is how it's trimmed up. I don't know if you can see it there, the sun's not so good, but yeah, we've got it all trimmed up there. So now I'm just going to put my tar paper on there and install the window. Okay, so window is installed. That's what it looks like. And you can see I've got that little gap all the way around there, about 3/8 of an inch. And that little gap there will get stuffed with insulation to keep everything warm. But yeah, that's the sink window. I'll take you outside and show you how this looks from the outside. So I was at that for about 6 hours to get that done. So this window now is ready for trim, and I'll show you that in another video how I do that. I got a few little tricks for that, but this is kind of how it looks from the outside. So that flange has just been nailed to the framing with some roofing nails. Again, I'm going to show you in depth how I install a window, but yeah, it's just been nailed all around. That's ready for the trim now. So you can see when the tar paper goes on, we overlap. So we start with the bottom piece first, then we do the two sides. They overlap the bottom, and then the top piece comes and overlaps the side pieces. So any water that gets in there is gonna, it's like shingles. All right, so that leaves this. It's 5 o'clock. I'm done for the day. So I'm gonna get into this here. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna fix all this up. This is not as bad as it looks. This is a relatively simple repair now. You know, I've got this all taken care of up above, and so now I just have to get in there and replace that header and then replace the sheeting. All right, folks, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.